Today's daf is daf kuf. We only have less. We have only have about 2.5 weeks left for Bava Metzia before we begin the next one. Bar Basar. Yeah, that's a half a year. Okay, the Mishnah. We already had this Mishnah on a number of occasions before. Hamachali pada b'chamay. We're going to talk about a case where you make a swap for a cow for a donkey, and then there was an offspring, and the question is, did it happen before the swap or after the swap? And we're talking about a kinya chalipin, because any other kinya, like Mashiach, you would see straight away. It's visible. There's an offspring there now. But because you swapped this, as soon as let's say, I drag the donkey, then automatically the cow is nicked to the other person, but the cow could be somewhere out, somewhere in someone's barn. Who knows if they gave birth to offspring or not? So it's a much more reasonable case. And then was offspring. You sold a servant, a maid, the older, she gave birth, and the question is when it happened. So case number one, it's mine. For a sold it. It sounds like from here, each one saying was definitively, this is how it was. What do? We don't know, we divide. Sounds like the first Mishnah. See, two people come in with a talus. There were two slaves. Echad gadol, echad katan. As an older person, then there was a minor. There's two fields. A large field and a small field. What I paid you for was for the larger field. And the vendor says, I don't know. This is a case of Bari Yeshema, so therefore you get the Gadol. Even though we learned before, Rabbi Yechon and Nachman both hold that Bari Yeshema, one is definite, one is maybe Bari's Lavadif. So we're talking about over here that Bari actually does not get better, but we're talking about over here in the case that there's a Moedid B'Mixus, and by Moedid B'Mixus, the defendant has to swear, but he can't because he says Eini Yedei, and that is why the Zocha Begadol. So the vendor says, I don't know which one I sold you, which is difficult to understand. You're the vendor, you don't know what you sold. But anyway, the Moicha says the other way around. Definitively, I sold you the minor or the small field. I said, I don't know. Then you only get the small field. Again, the same idea. They both definitively say, claim whatever they claim. Then Yeshava HaMoicha, the Moicha swears. Now we're going to have a little issue here. We're talking about fields, and you generally have a rule: you don't swear on karka. You don't swear even avodim. We always learn to compare avodim to karkais. Why are you swearing over here? So we'll discuss that. What happens? Each one said, I don't know. Then obviously you divide. Yeah, so we said according to the other people, much time there's a case of a shvua deraisa, and you have to swear like Moses mixes, and you can't. Tell you what, you tell me what that you divide in the beginning the Mishnah. You don't know what happened, so therefore but let's see where it is right now. We have a general rule. The other person is the levi leaving status quo, and wherever the animal's right now, that's where it is. We're still sitting in the vendor's house. Then he has the offspring. There is no cheskes mammon here because it's out somewhere in the pastures. It's just not in the property. And Shivchanami, the kaim of a simter, she's out there in the side street, and therefore you can't say, possession is 9 times the law. There's no possession anymore. The question is when it happened. There was a transfer, but when did this happen? The offspring. So okay, we cannot use the rule of cheskes mammon, but we have another rule, the rule of cheskes marakam. But see, whoever was the owner till now, if we don't know, leave things the status quo, not cheskes mammon where its possession it is, but whatever was before should continue. This follows sumchas the amar we learned Baba Kama when the shosh and a para when he gored another animal. You don't know, leave divided equally below sure.
Ask anyone what's something.
Exactly. And there's a machlek in the Shem, the halacha like him, the halacha might not even be like him. That we follow the Rabbanon and say, how much chaver over raya. Yeah. And yeah, says they went further. Yeah, anyway, tastes and all the Shem have all kinds of issues here because usually we say that people can wander around. Or go to saying the chazaka. The fact that it's sitting by you doesn't prove anything if they, like a shivcha, walks around all the time. So just because she happens to be at this moment by you, that how does it prove that the child was born? How does it prove anything? So over here, he said, because there's a drawer in a minor, because forget about their kindness. Even without their kindness, we see the baby was just born. We would right away ask ourselves this very question. When was it born? Before or after? So there, and the Lekeach is saying, Bari. So because the essence of something, and the Lekeach is saying, Bari, And if it's his reshus, couple all that together, we say, okay, maybe you leave it there. Second, when people say, oh, the case nobody knows what happened. But the body, each will claim, definitely I'm right. Definitely it happened before, definitely it happened after. Me, Amar, does Sumcha say in this case, also Yachleku. Amar Rabbaruna in, yes. Amma Sumchas afil the body. So Rabba Barabuna says Sumchas even by a body you divide. Rabba says La'olam ki Amma Sumchas Shem V'Shem. Rabba says no, he only says that when we don't know, Yachleiku. Like Mama but that's how we're going to learn Pshat in the Mishnah. I will body lie. But to me, and learn the Mishnah as if they're saying maybe the vendor is saying maybe it happened before. There's no bodies there, even though it sounds like from the Mishnah they're talking about definite. They were saying maybe this will happen. Now, that's a question now, a few questions on that, but it says in the Mishnah, each one says, I don't know, at the very end of the Mishnah. So in other words, the Mishnah definitely is talking about the cases of Shema, Yachleiku, you divide. So we can say, for the last case is Shema v'Shema. So Reisha Nami is also perhaps Shema v'Shema. The last case, we're talking about the two fields, or the two avad in Gadol and Cotton, and then the Mishnah spells out so much Shema v'Shema, so then you think the entire Mishnah is talking about Shema v'Shema, which is what the Rava said. That yes, body, that even when it's definite. So if the Mishnah is telling us even when it's definite, she's divided, you need to tell me that if it's a maybe, you also divide. Each one says definitely it's mine. Yeah. So hash the body you need to tell me when maybe it's also mechleiku. Says that's what your whole proof is. That's not a raya. Perhaps Tana Sefer Laguya the Sefer is coming to tell you even in bari, which now we know the Reisha. Don't learn the Reisha like Rava said, but talking about Shemas. The Reisha is talking about the each one's definitive, and yet you divide. It's like talking about Reisha Shema v'Shema. But body will be the case if each one says definitely this is what happened. Maybe you would different rules called Alam Gavman, whoever with stronger wind or other rules, not divide. Tana Sefer Shema v'Shema. The Sefer clearly says Shema Shema make cloud. Therefore, you'll say so. The Mishnah won't repeat itself. Shem the Reisha body. At the beginning, I didn't spell out that we're talking about Shema. Obviously, each one is saying definitely this what happened. Okay, now the Mishnah says that because this one says it was the older guy, and this one says it was the younger guy, or the minor. So what happens then? We have to argue about that voting. One guy says, "I sold you what I sold you was the minor," and the other guy, "No, I bought the older guy, more efficient, more skilled, more useful." Yishav haMeicher shekot macher. They show you the Meicher swears that he sold what the macher. He sold the cotton. According to Rav, it makes sense. Why over here suddenly swearing? Why don't you divide here as well? So according to Rav, who says that what? That's our body, the laws are different. That's why here the laws are different. Here, what happens? He swears, and that's all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But El Rabba, I'm going to hold that even the Amar. Yes, Amar Sum Chesafil Barabodi, Amar Yishava Maicha Yechleko, going to you by like the thing should be, you divide. When I asked you when I said you sold me the older Rebbe, and the vendor says I sold you the younger Rebbe, it's like Moed Mitzvah. It's like you're asking me, and I'm going to explain how it's Moed Mitzvah, but it's like you're asking me for $100 Rebbe, and I'm Moed to a $50 Rebbe. So I made it a partial of your claim. So I have to swear to give you a comment. And because we're talking about a shvur that ice involved there's no yachleiku.
I'm swearing on the 50.
Yeah.
The second 50. The first 50,
yeah, he said. I'm here to take the Ever Cotton. I'm ready to give you the Ever Cotton. Right. And it's about people instead of money, which the Gemara is talking about right now. You will have three fundamental questions on this din. Well, that's true. It's a little bit of a problem. Three questions on this. Number one is we have an argument that Chacham hold that what, or Chacham hold that the taina has to be and the claim has to be in the same name. If I ask you for wheat and you say wheat, don't you talking about, but I owe you some barley. Then it's not Moed Mitzvah. It's like a kaifer hakel what I'm claiming. Exactly. And then we had a machlekes whether even owe the barley. Because maybe the fact I'm not demanding you the barley, I'm mindful you the barley. A separate machlekes. So there's no Moed Mitzvah. So where does the shul come in there? So question number one. I'm talking to you about this Evid, and you're talking to me about another Evid. We're not talking about the same thing. Even though we're talking about Avadim, but we're not talking about the same person. What I'm asking for, you're not admitting to, but admitting to, I didn't ask you for. I'm not claiming. That's question number one. So where's the Maiden mixes here? Question number one. Question number two. We had in the beginning of Dalad, Rav Chia said the Bachlekes, but one Rav Shesha says Rav Chia says that if you say Halech, so if you say Halech, you say Ruah says Shimon Yomi $100. Shimon says I owe you 50, and here it is, not there. So according to one opinion, once you say Halech, as if I already paid it to you. And so therefore, the only claim now is 50, and I'm favoring Hakel, so I'm putted. So the Chayda, according to that opinion, boy, the Halach, so where's my mixer come in? I'm saying, here's your Evid cotton. I'm waiting the part of your claim. Let's grant you this is called Maiden mixes, but here it is. So it's Halach. Number two. Number three, we have a klal, a prata klal, regarding Shavua, all that, and we learn out from there that has to be. We learn from there that has to be similar to the case of mobile things, but not a karka, and not avodim that are hukshika karkois, and not stars, which are not goof and mammon. They themselves are not essentially mammon. So you don't swear to avodim. Question number three. How do you answer all these three questions? Well, I have a few answers there. Amar Rav says, even though the Mishnah is using the example of avodim, betoine demei, he's asking for the money. Demei evet gadol, demei evet gadol. I said that that I gave you money for an older evet. Therefore, give my money back. And you say, no, you only get money for the minor effort. So we're talking about money. That's mamash moedim mixes. I don't have the money with me right now, so there's no halach over here. And it's money. In normal case, moedim mixes. And Sada, the same thing. Sada gedayla, the may Sada gedayla makes it hand. Even though we talk about field, we're not talking about the field itself, we're talking about the money I gave you to buy me a field. Says the Gemara. So I gave you money to buy me, and you never bought me. Give my money back. Tasting very similar, a little bit different. That you bought me a field, and the field you bought me should have been the larger field or the smaller field. Shmuel says, "Oh, this is what you sold me, and I paid you for it." Rashi says, "I gave you money. Go buy me a field." So you're like my shliach. Tasting doesn't like that. We're not talking about shluchim there. So the Tasting says, "You sold me of the bigger field, and I gave you money for it. Give me my big field that you sold me." So no, there's no shliach here. This is you're the vendor and I'm the buyer. Then I gave you money to buy from a third party. Okay, so it's just being pedantic. Anyway, the Gemara says further. Shmuel says, you know what we're talking about here? When we say Eved, I mean the dress of an Eved, the garment that Eved is wearing. So we're talking about a monetary thing. And Ksus Eved Gadol, no metaltlin. That's why there's no heliche and it's not around. That's no heliche. There's a regular way to mix this and so on. And what about the field? The bundles that was, that was tied up that was on the field. We're talking about metaltlin. Says the Gemara, so I don't understand. I'm tiny, you owe me the ksus of an older Ever, which is obviously adult clothing. Ksus, my same question goes back. And you're made it to me the clothing of a minor. So we're not talking about the same clothing. Back to the original question. We're not made it to what I claim for. And with the Gemara, Kedamara Papa bid the Alfi. We'll answer in a minute. The Alfi are, they used to have these, it's like, I don't know what we call it. It's a long garment. And you can cut it, and it's made up of parts. So if you want for a cotton, just unstitch part of it, and you're ready for a cotton. The arms and everything are the same. It's very loose on you. And you fit all sizes. You can have one coat that fits all sizes. You can take off the hem part, open up the hem, and take off part of it. So we're talking about the same garment. I'm talking about the larger garment, the full-size garment, and you say, no, I'm only half. Okay. Question. We should talk about clothes. Everything talk about slaves. I don't like the pshat at all. You know what we're talking about here? I'm claiming two things. You sold me an older Eved with his clothing on, and the Sada Ba'imre. So in that case, that it was like Ma'idim and Mitzvah. We're talking about Taltlin, and once it's Gilgul Shua, once you have to swear to me about the clothing, because Ma'idim and Mitzvahs, then I can go get you to swear on the Karka, on the Evan, because Gilgul Shua, you can make swear on anything. We had yesterday, 2 days ago, Gilgul Shua, you can throw things even that you don't know what ever happened with somebody. So the original, what's the trigger here? The trigger is the clothing, but the clothing is still on Ma'idim and Mitzvahs. But a Papa Delphi, that's the same thing we just said. Kasha, Rav Shesha. So what's the whole Chiddush of the Mishnah here? That we're having a regular discussion about Moed mixes metallic clothing, and then we're saying that Gilgul Shua, that once you swear on the clothing, swear already about the Eved as well. Because I'm also claiming you sold me an older Eved, not a kid. So the whole chiddush is that's like you that once you're swearing on a normal case of metaltlin, I can also drag along karka. That's all chiddush. Tanina. We already learned that chiddush. We learned zayking hanachasim she'ein lemachais and the chasim she'esh lachais. We learned in the first paragraph in the Mishnah that, and we had it before as well, that once you're swearing on metaltlin, it can drag along karka to swear as well. What's the chiddush Mishnah? So we have a problem with Rabbi, which we'll come back to later. Elul Rabbi Shesha has a new answer. You know something? Not everyone thinks that an Eved is like Karka. Hamani, the author of Mishnah is a Meiri. And what's what about a Meiri? The Omar Avdukim Metalkin Gamir. A Meiri said that Eved has the same status as Metalkin. So we're talking about the Eved. Your problem was Meiri mixes. Your problem was we don't swear on Karka, on Avodim, because Avodim are compared to Karka. Meiri doesn't hold of that. Meiri holds Avodim, you do swear. So you're okay, but the other two questions remain. What about the question we had? It's not Moed mixes. No, in that case, so he holds that we don't need it to be similar. The time we learned I claim wheat and you're made to barley. Because it's still so we answered it's considered made to mix it to a power of Gamliel. I'm about to swear because this is what I made. But the third question still remains. Here it is. Another thing. The Kotali other. You chopped off his hand.
Introducing all these extra details.
Because the moment you chopped up, I'll tell you what.
Now I'll ask you another question. It's not the case that we started with.
Exactly.
This is just like
it's a nest that we have one detail that's still the same. It's an evidence.
We're talking about a whole different parameters now.
And the idea was once you cut your hand off, it's no longer Halo because this is not what I gave you. I gave you never with a hand. Yeah, but true. But here he sold him he sold him this. He said, "Okay, good question." He cut his hand off, or whatever. The guy cut his own hand off by mistake. He doesn't say that. Because no, this guy is selling him as this person as never. Yeah, but maybe he sold him as this person there. And the point is that now he can no longer be made that here. Hey, this is what you paid for. It's paid because no, it's the same Eved, but it's no longer the same value. So you have to supplement it. It was a $50 Eved when I sold to you. Yeah, now it's worth. Yeah, so it's worth 10% less. You can no longer say Halech. You can no longer say Halech because I have to supplement that difference. So I can't even say here now did it. Or the Sada Shechafa Babar Shiramayis. You made all these holes in there, so you have to supplement that as well. So the Gemara, what I made, first of all, I made, we're holding phase, what I made, it says clearly by a body, you don't swear. Because now we learned, I've made a host clearly that avodim have the same status as karka. So what are you talking about? But now we learned, if Shimon stole an animal from Reuben and the animal became old, it's no longer original animal, or avodim, Biskina became old, no longer useful as it used to be. So it's like a shinui, is mishalach shazik zayla. Shinui is kinda. So now you can't say, take it ever back. Now it's useless. Yeah, so you have to pay him whatever it was at the time you stole it. We talked about chametz on Pesach. Same thing.
So somebody stole my matzahs on Erev Pesach.
Not your matzah. Somebody stole your mashke Erev Pesach, never sold it, so it became chaver over Pesach, and now it's worthless. It's also bahana. Too bad. It's same thing. Listen, word. This is what I just told you. Same thing. Yeah, same thing. Rameir says, if you can say then yes, it's okay. Rameir says, ba'avodim you can say, take it back. In other words, it's your loss. Why? Because Eved is like Karka, and Karka cannot be stolen. Avodim can't be stolen. So we see the man clearly Avodim like Karka. What do you tell me that the author of Mishnah Meir holds? That by an Eved you do swear? No, you don't. Rabbi Meir holds an Eved has the same status as Karka. And since we know you don't swear in Karka, nor do you swear by Avodim. Goes back to the question: who's our Mishnah? That's not a problem because the Machli Rabbavu actually swapped the names around. The Tony and he learns that he learned that Meiraim and Mishalim Chazir. Meiraim says Shini Kohen because he says an Ev is like Metalklet. Ev is not like Karka. And Chom say Chom say that no Avodim like Karka. You can say here take it back. Ella Memai. How do you know the Savar Meir Makshin and Karka Eved? How do you know that Meir holds that you compare Karka to Eved? Because now Mishnah is the case of an Eved. And there's a case of a Sada. So in other words, you're swearing in both cases, which means that Eved is like Metalton and Karka also you swear. How do you know Meir holds that you swear in both? My Eved is born of Kakim is born. That's what says my Mishnah, right? The two cases, Eved, Godel Cotton, and Sadek Godel Cotton. Dilma, Eved was born. Okay, let's say you found me a Mishnah that made hold up by Eved, you swear, and Eved not like Metalton, Eved you cannot say Shov and Echa. Avo Karka but Karka you don't swear, so how do you say our Mishnah is a you're taking the Mishnah literally, not talking about clothing or anything else, or talking about bundles of hay, whatever it is on the property, or you're telling me that it's that the author of Mishnah may take it literally. Okay, Rameh, you found who holds avodim amatalklin and you swear, but sada. Where do you find sada? Well, Lord knows that that's not a problem. The Tanya we learn. Says definitely this is what happened. I won't say anything. Then the one who says definitely is Zocha. Both don't know. Yes, like what if this guy says that happened definitely by me? I'll get that by me. Yishava. The moicher swears that happened by him. Anybody in the Torah swears, don't pay. Give it a minute. Anyhow, all we're talking here is about all we're talking about here is about an Evan. And Evan we know the mayor swears. What's the most problem? How do you try to say you would compare karkas? I'll show you. Chacham say you don't swear why did Chacham introduce Karkois? Sounds like the Chacham is saying to Meir, you hold that Ebed and Karka are the same and you swear on both, even though Meir doesn't mention a word. But we hold you don't. So we see that Meir hold that Yitaka do swear on Karka. So our Mishnah makes sense. So Meir. A lot of call the Meir something is point. So our Mishnah makes sense. He swear on both, like on fields. It wasn't my. Dilma perhaps Kishem Kamrele. No, the Rabban forget. Rameir holds you don't swear on Karka, but you do swear on Avodim. And the Chacham is tying it is. How can you separate Avodim from Karka? Since you agree with us that Karka you don't swear, why Avodim do you swear? Since you made it with the Karka, you swear Oidon Nam Avodim, you made Avodim as well. Hey, I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you. Rameir holds about Karka you do swear. How will I prove it to you? The Rameir says yes, Dvorim Shenke Karka, the things which have a sort of thing in between, a little bit like Karka, a little bit not like Karka. For example, the I'm going to see that Meir holds by Karka you don't swear. By Karka itself you don't swear, and therefore we have a problem with our Mishnah. It can be Rameir because even though an Evid might be Rameir, you do swear, but Karka you don't. And the Mishnah says you do. You find him. I gave you 10 vines full of grapes. Alone, but is only 5, so the money mixes. Rameir mechayiv, even though we're talking about property, we're talking about land. Yet he says you chayiv for sure, and the Chum says so. Rameir hold you do swear on Karka. One second. The Chum they call him the Karka to get Karka. Chum say if it's growing in the ground, it's attached to the ground. It's not. One second. So Rameir is saying you do swear on Karka. So chayiv for Karka. But the Gemara continues. The Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said that they're not arguing about Karka. Everyone knows you don't swear on Karka. They're arguing about Anovim ha'imnus lebotzer, grapes that are ripe, ready to be harvested. Ika benai, that's the difference. Marsav Arameir holds keep it sooner down as if they're cut off already. Not when it comes to the laws of Shabbos that are showing you point out. It's still high for toilet, but at least when it comes to Shavuot, it's considered ready cut off. It's like metal and therefore you swear. Marsav Arameir. So but see, but Karka itself you don't swear. And how you know Yoshkin's Shabbos is right? Maybe Arameir holds a Karka you do swear because he starts saying Shehen Karka ve'enik Karka. In some way they resemble Karka, some way they don't. So we're not talking about real Karka, we're talking about something that's in between. So we're talking about something else. We're about Novim ha'imim b'tzuris and made all this swear because it's not really like Karka, because you're about to cut it off. So go back to the question on Mishnah. So we'll answer, we'll go back to the Hoshe. Rabbi Yossi is one that says we're talking about an evet together with a garment, and you ask the question if the whole chiddush is zokikin that you swear. Once you're swearing on the metal, and you also swear on the karka or avodim, and you ask what's the chiddush, I'll tell you what. Or the kasher zokikin itzrich, yes we do need. I would have thought ksus evet ke'evedami, because the ksus evet is not just metal. It comes with the evet. When you buy an evet, you don't buy naked evet, you buy an evet with the clothing. So the chiddush says the ksus evet is part of the evet. We would have thought we should deem it karka. That no, this is metaltlin, and you swear. Once you swear that, you swear the rest. The chiddush is not zoiki. The chiddush is that the garment of an eved is considered separate than metaltlin. Then the mission continues. The very last case. Each was I don't know either by Amos say for the next case. The moicher then swears that what at least one claims definitely is what happened. The moicher swear that no, it happened by me, and he keeps it. Shivashusha Yolda. Well, the Rabba Rav Huna, and Rabbi Huna said before that Simchas holds. I feel the body that your body divides. So why is the last case when each one says definitely? The Mishnah says that the moicher, the one who has it in his rishus now swear. L'chayda should be yachlaiku. Yachlaiku b'bayah. The din should be yachlaiku because you hold that even body we divide equally. Because we the best don't know who's telling the truth. But
I'm not reading this wrong. This is the Rabbi who
no. In. Yes. You might ask the question. Body says yes. In. Interesting. They want to continuously quote him verbatim. Yeah. Okay. Who says in? Yes. Amar Sumchas. I told you once that according to some, it's impossible to say. They argue one word should have two opposite meanings. Ein is no, and in is yes. Doesn't make sense. So he says. I can't remember who said this in tradition. He says that in always means no or yes, one or the other. But one is a statement, one is a question mark. Ain't no. Yes. Okay. My answer is Moide Sunche. Rabbi answers Hege Dike Shur der Eise. This is Moide Mixes. Once it's the Moide Mixes the Shur der Eise. Would the Kottel Eis Shur der Eise? But what about Halech? According to those who say Halech, you are potter, and we Kottel the other. The hand is missing now. It's worth less. Is Kidder Rabba, like Rabba said before, and therefore no longer Halech. Next mission. I have olive trees growing in my garden, but it's or my whatever, and it's useless. They're pure, very poor quality grapes. So I'm selling you the grape tree. I'm selling the olive. I'm selling you the olive tree to firewood. And you normally not allowed to cut a tree down. But over here, when the tree's worth more, the firewood's worth more than the olives, you can. I only sold you for the wood, the firewood. Meanwhile, too, you cut it off. What happened? In the meantime, some olives start to grow, and you're able to produce out of these olives, but less than the revius of oil, not much. Who owns that a little bit? I'm not sure what they're going to fight about. It belongs to the owner of the olive trees. Also, the revius lasa. What happens? It makes our revius more. I get all the credit. It's mine. Without my land, it would never have grown in the first place. Then is Yachleki divided. What happens? Interesting case. Shotav Nor Zesav. Along came the river, breached its banks, and swept away a number of trees, together with a cluster of dirt underneath, so the tree could still grow for the original dirt, as we'll explain later. But Nostrum and placed it in somebody else's field. This one says it's my olive tree because it's a little clump of dirt. The other one says no, but basically it's my land. It's my land. Yachleki. Then what we're talking about? Idam will cut it down straight away. Then I feel probably I'm the Balakaka. Then you don't own any olive tree. You should have cut it down straight away. Idam will call the boy. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and cut. That means it's already yours. If olives grow, afilu then even if the olives grow more than and you produce more than a vias of oil, should belong to the owner of the trees. So what's the case here? He didn't make up a time with him. So Pachas the V is like Kaptin. So listen, we're not going to argue, we're not going to fight about. But the V is then Kaptin. The V is a boil, we're going to argue. Ben Pazi or Shimon Lakish, or the V is Amru. When we calculate over here, or the V is chutz minot. So you have to deduct our expenses. You have to cut. You have to squeeze all of you. Maybe pay your workers to do that. After you deduct that, what you have left is the value of a V of oil, then we have the Dimyak like. If not, the quantity might be more than it is, but you have to. We had the same idea yesterday. You deduct, some expenses. Okay, have good Chaydish. Mitzvah Shabbos 7:00, and we're going to do 2 block Mitzvah Shabbos. So.